Well, welcome from the South Social Film Festival. And tonight it's basically the last Sunday Cineclub that we're going to do before the summer. Of course, after the summer, we hope that in September we'll be able to do even live events, go back to cinemas, who knows? Or if not, we'll continue with online. So please welcome Sebastián Lelio. He's here with us, and let me, yeah. Probably this is better. We're very happy, very honored that Sebastián, decided to be here tonight for the Q&A. So thank you so much, Sebastián.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So I usually recommend everybody to watch the film at the same time because it's such it's really a very it's a beautiful film. You really need to be in that kind of emotional state, to kind of react and then start asking questions. So, yeah, basically, I just wanted to know, I know that you've done a lot. In the sense you went to the School of Cinema in Chile. Then you started, you had started with short film, you made 5 of them, and then you started with feature film. How did you get to pick up this kind of particular subject? Why a fantastic woman? I'd like to know the scene of.
I think it was at the same time a gradual process, but of unfolding something that was somehow always there. Because I made 4 films, one after the next, that were all centered on female protagonists, characters, and somehow characters that were not. It wasn't usual to see them as protagonists of a story, So I made Gloria, which is a film about a 58-year-old woman that should be probably a secondary character in a more conventional film. Then I made A Fantastic Woman, and then I made a film in London called Disobedience, and then it was when, for the first time, someone asked me about this supposedly trilogy of strong women that I had made, and I was like, I never thought of this body of work in those terms. But then, thinking backwards, I remembered that actually, like, my very first short film, while I was at film school, it was about 4 women. So somehow, I don't know, the attraction or interest in female-led stories was always there. And then somehow after Gloria, I don't know. I think I wanted to put myself, to challenge myself with a story that could, be at the same time an artistic challenge in terms of aesthetics and things I wanted to try, and also to find a story that could resonate with what we were all going through, I would say, as a global society. Even though the script was written the process started in 2014, so I would say 2 years before the trans notion became popular, I would say, or popular knowledge, like in a massive way, in a mainstream way. So yeah, and to answer your question from a more concrete way or angle, my co-writer, my friend and co-writer Gonzalo Massa, we were playing around with an idea of what would happen if the person you love dies in your arms, and for some reason your arms are the worst place on earth for that person to die, because you are somehow the unwanted, the rejected one, you know. So from that question we started to think about who could be that person, and just because of the process of script writing and you know, co-creation and talking and talking and talking and eliminating lots of options, suddenly the idea of a transgender woman emerged. And it was yeah, it felt like a strike in the sense of it was very challenging, very dangerous politically, very demanding artistically, and it was full of dangers, and therefore of eventually potential.
Yes, absolutely.
You know,
Yeah.
so that's how it started. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. We met Gonzalo Maza. I actually met Gonzalo through David, and so
Mm-hmm.
yeah. So I know also his side. I invited him, but he said that, you know, you'll be able to cover the film without his intervention. So, so
Right.
that's yeah. So I think that it's a film that it definitely works a lot on the screenplay. I mean, there's really lots of work because.
Mm-hmm.
Even if there's not much dialogue, you know, everything is just so so visible and so understandable too. I mean, this is
Mm-hmm.
it's a great quality of this film that you don't need a lot. You know, I mean, it's definitely a thriller because, you know, in a way, I mean, there's a death, there's a doubt about who's you know, who's the, you know, what happened
Mm-hmm.
exactly. But at the same time, there's also this incredible compassion from this woman. You know, this incredible trying to focus on her own pain because nobody else is taking care of it, you know. So it's amazing the work that you've done um, with the actress. Yeah. So, so how was it to work with her, with Daniela Vega?
Great. It was great. I mean, it was also a very organic process, you know, because I would say the first what's the word, like milestone in the process was this notion of what if this story is lived by a transgender woman. And then I felt like I couldn't continue writing. I needed to see who was out there. I was living in Berlin for years back then. So I was a bit detached of what was really happening in Santiago, where I am now. And I didn't have any transgender friends in Santiago, didn't know anyone. So I came here and we met with 3 transgender women from Santiago, and it was like really revealing to see to eradicate the prejudices that we might have had, and see them, you know, directly and talk to them. And I wasn't looking for an actress back then. I was trying to see if I really wanted to make the film or not. I was kind of like investigating to see if I wanted to commit, you know, to give 2 years of my life, to say the least,
Sure.
to this project. And then so I was looking for like a cultural advisor. I wanted to have a transgender woman who could collaborate in the process, not of writing, but of being always, you know, available to talk about what, you know, transitioning in Chile had meant for her, and how she experienced any encounter with any kind of authorities or microaggressions, anything. And so they recommended us to meet Daniela, the actress,
Yes.
the one who became the actress. And when we met, I really loved her. It was like I was I really connected with her. I loved her, the combination of wittiness and being very political, and at the same time a great like grace, and lightness in the good sense of the word. And I just loved her personality, her ideas, and I asked her, could you be our consultant, our like friend in the process? And she said yes. So I went back to Berlin. We were co-writing with Gonzalo, and during a year, I would have conversations with Daniela and exchange emails and have long Skype sessions of just talking, and we became friends. And so somewhere like I would say we started to write this in March 2014, and in September, I remember because I remember precisely, I was in Berlin, and the idea of creating a trans genre film about a transgender character hit me, and that was the second very important moment in the creative process that opened a lot of possibilities, and that's why the film somehow oscillates between different tonalities. And even though centrally you might be right by saying that it's a thriller, at the same time it starts as a traditional melodrama a la Douglas Sirk,
Yes.
and then somehow it shifts to a thriller, and then it's the study of a woman, and then it's a film about humiliation and revenge, and there is a ghost, and there are moments where there is a musical number, or there is like
It's
some
also
surreal
very,
elements, like when she faces the
yeah,
wind.
it's also very psychological, because I can see all the time there are like reflections all the time, and you put mirrors, you put windows. I mean, she's always reflecting herself because she's looking for her identity. I mean, she knows who she is, but eventually people don't see her like that. So I can see through the film that it's very well underlined, that fact. And for example, one of the scenes that I remember quite, very strong one, it's where she's holding a mirror between her legs, and because that's her face, that's her her identity, and so again, mirrors and the glasses and reflections and all that.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the conversations with Daniela during that year really, without noticing, I was incorporating a lot of things that were coming out from those conversations into the script. And just to finish somehow the story of how she ended up being the protagonist, is that in December, when we finally had a decent draft, a showable draft, I was like, who am I going to cast? Like I think I won't do it if it's not a transgender woman. And then it was like, it's Daniela, it's my friend, my collaborator, my cultural advisor. She's the one. She has some theater experience. She's a lyrical singer, and she has this great personality and beautiful cinematic presence. And then I sent her an email. She didn't know, of course. We never spoke about this possibility, with the script, and the question: would you like to play Marina? And then she called me right away, and she said, "Are you insane? Marina drives, flies. I don't even know how to drive. I mean, it's no." And I said, "Listen, let's take care of each other. I will take care of you. You will take care of me, and we'll, we'll cross the desert together."
Yeah.
And she said, "I need 3 days," and she took 3 days to think about it. is a mystery for all of us. What she really did on those 3 days, no one knows. She doesn't want to tell, but she said, "Okay, I'm in." So that's how it happened. Very, very, organically. Very
Yeah, yeah.
like
And I
following
have
the
to say
process.
that I can't think of the film without her.
Mm,
It's everything's just so embedded, so mixed together. It's just the film. It's really it seems like about her. About
mhm,
her own feelings and
mm,
everything,
mm,
which
mm, mhm,
even
and
if
and that's and that's if I may intervene, I think
yeah,
that's I mean, thank you, Sebastian, for sharing this.
mm,
Speaking with Gonzalo years ago, I mean, about the whole process, about how Daniela got involved. I expressed at that time that I mean, Daniela is the key element. I mean, it's just the pivotal of how this film within the LGBT community that I'm from, that I'm part of.
mhm,
It's such a refreshing representation. It's a positive representation of a trans character. And
mhm,
there are discussions in cinema, of course, like how does a cis man writes and directs a film about a trans person?
mm,
And the key, the answer is about collaboration. It's about communication. And
mm,
what you said is having Daniela in mind on creating her role. You
mm,
soon realize that you were developing a role for her,
mm,
and you couldn't see the film without her, and you
mm.
didn't want to have a man disguised as a woman in your
No,
film,
no.
because
Mm,
that is the key. And having a trans woman already in transition and not having a man,
mm,
and recording the transness on the screen, that we
mhm,
have so many films about that, Boys Don't Cry,
mhm,
Danish Girl, and so on.
mm,
But this one is assuming, and um, yeah, assuming she is the woman that she is. And that's
mm,
when the film starts. No, it's not
mm,
just about the transness, because we in the trans community there are lots of films about that, but
mm,
it's about her life and her love and how she lives
mm,
as a woman,
mhm,
and the
mhm,
struggles in society that they still exist. No,
mm, mm.
I think I have a question, if I may.
sure.
um, I want to know, like, how was the response of the trans community, especially in Chile? Well, the community and Daniela's friends, like, what was the reaction?
Mm. Well, um, to be very honest, because this was written a bit before all the at least for me, from what I was aware of, but also I sensed that there was a cultural change in the sense of how the presence of these problematics, or this, how to, representation and cultural appropriation and all those discussions that are so alive today. um, I wasn't thinking of that. I was just following what I felt it was right, ethically and aesthetically, and I remember saying, for me, if this film is played by a man doing as if, or the other way around, um, it would feel like when in the old, silent films, white actors would paint their faces
Okay.
black. It would feel like aesthetically wrong
Mm.
and ethically wrong. It will have a very short. It would expire right away aesthetically. That's what I felt. But I wasn't like worried about what, innocently. I wasn't worried about what is the LGBTQ community will say, or I was just, doing what was right for the film. Uh,
Yeah, thanks so much, Sebastian, for your important work, I must say.
thank
And
you.
like when you started talking, I wanted to ask you about your sense of political responsibility as an artist in creating changes. But I think over the last, let's say, 10 minutes or so, you have actually demonstrated how important art broadly speaking, can be in actually raising awareness and in fact in changing the rules of the game, let's say. But perhaps I'll expand kind of my question into to what extent you yourself kind of feel responsible and are kind of perhaps aware of the power that you have in creating these shifts in consciousness, and in a way, what is your next bet or your next target? Today, just as a mini kind of framework, I met this morning a German girlfriend. She's white and she's married with a black guy, and we were discussing in the frame of in the context of the Black Lives Matter, like all these microaggressions and micro discriminations and micro judgments that he experiences, like when he goes into a pub or in so many situations, and I guess, I mean, I'm from Chile, and I there are so many angles of discrimination, of unfairness, of like when you talk about, okay, of course this one is about gender identity, but you have social classes, and you have like I mean, so many things. So I wondered, like, how are you positioning yourself politically as an agent, that is actually quite powerful?
Well,
thank you.
The things that, I mean, for me, a film is a very complex animal, and it has many dimensions, and it should be like that. So there is a tremendously, immensely important aspect of a film, which is very political too, in a more obliquous way, which is the aesthetical dimension. So how you communicate with the color palette, with the way in which you film the character. For example, more or less, the aesthetical approach to a transgender character, at least from what I had seen before, it was always with the raw light of social realism, handheld cameras, kind of like not necessarily without any kind of splendor, if that's a word that I could use. And I was like, I want to film her, and I want the film to be saying to her, you deserve a film. You deserve a film. And I want to film you like Louis Malle films Jean Moreau walking under the rain, and I want to have that approach, and I want to treat you like that, and observe you like that. And that's political, I would say the main danger with dealing with subjects that are being discussed and very problematic while you're writing them, very, very alive in terms of how challenging they are for society. The danger of that is to do something that is like a pamphlet. Is that a word? Yeah, like a pamphlet. And then if it's like that, then it's not cinema. It's just the illustration of a message. But then when a film has the capacity to really change your perception, or to throw light upon a subject that is somehow new to you, because you hadn't not only thought of it like this, but experience it like this, then there is a potentially transformational power, that a film can have.
I just wanted to make a very quick question about, well, I imagine that you had to do quite some research about trans culture when you were writing this film and when it was coming together. And I guess it's something that we all have to do constantly, about like learning certain things when we're trying to understand realities that are not our own, but also unlearning and taking away baggage that are from our own prejudices and all the things that have brought into ourselves, like our culture, our past, our parents, things that we've just decided to learn that there are no base. So from one side, we have to be open to learn new things, and from another side we have to like unlearn all this cultural baggage. And I was wondering which particular aspect of trans culture, when you were embedded in this world trying to understand it, is there any particular part of it that you really struggle with in terms of putting it into film? Is there anything that kind of surprised you that you weren't expecting, and then that meant that you had to deal with that particular problem in terms of how to put that into the film?
Yeah, I had to investigate and try to read as much as I could, but I have to say that my main connection was Daniela, and so it wasn't theoretical. It was from a person to another one, a communication with Dani that had transitioned when she was 15, way before. It was, you know, not, I wouldn't say it's ever easy. I suppose it's never easy, but now there are more networks and tools and legislation, etc. I think internet played a huge role in that, in understanding that there was a big amount of people. But for me, the main challenge, and I think this is also political, was to find the shape and tone of the film, and for that shape and tone to somehow reflect or resonate with how complex and beautiful I thought the main character / Daniela was. So I wanted for the film to somehow translate that and incarnate that, and that took months. Really, I couldn't find the way in, and all the things we were trying were like felt too or conventional or somehow not really electrical, or and then this idea of doing a trans-genre film appeared, and in Spanish, gender and genre, we have the same word, género. So it's a transgénero character, and it's a transgénero film in the sense of cinematic géneros, no, in cinematic genres. And when that appeared, it was like very important for me, because suddenly I found a huge possibility of for freedom, for expressive freedom, and for the film to inhabit expressive territories that with a less fluid attitude.
I'd like to ask, because I know you're in post-production, so I'd like to know some news about what you're working on right now.
No, the things that I was in post-production of a short film that Netflix produced, or for about, I mean, the invitation was to create some kind of audiovisual piece from your confinement and with the resources you have. So they called 17 directors from all over the world. The project is called Homemade, okay. And it's now in Netflix, and yeah, and so I did with my girlfriend that is an actress. We've been in coordinated quarantine. So sometimes I visit her, sometimes she visits me, and so we I work with a wonderful British musician called Matthew Herbert. He did A Fantastic Woman score, and so I wrote some rhymes about what I felt about the COVID experience and isolation and the moment, the social and political moment. we're going through as a species, and so we did like extremely low budget shot with a phone, with no crew,
Wow.
music,
Really?
COVID musical. So Amalia, she sings and dances while she's going through the ordeal of the eternal loop of confinement. You know, disinfecting fruits and cleaning, and then she has a number inside the refrigerator, and those kind of things. Yeah, you should check it out.
What's the title of your piece?
Algoritmo,
Algoritmo.
algorithm.
Okay, sounds good.
Which in Spanish is like it's some rhythm.
Oh, okay, yeah, algo.
You know,
algo.
yeah, it's a game with Netflix that is all about algorithm. You know, so the new ruler of the world